Okay, it's an awesome spring explosion here on the FARMLETQUEST. Sadly, we didn't get a lot of the blossoms to show you with all that spring growth sprouting out, but we're running out for you a basic update on various projects, strategies and directions that we have got happening. I have honestly been so heavy into the work here that I'm not even stopping to do a video, but I know it's so valuable to get a record of things as they are unfolding so that you can show how you made it happen. And now that it's spring, yes, finally it is all starting to happen. Let's start by getting a look at this dam here that I told you that I was cleaning out. Now that was a couple of months ago, so what you can see is the process rolling over where we've had some grow back here. I spent almost 2 weeks tackling this crazy overgrowth and getting muddy and filthy to get the creek happening, and almost instantly one of my old ducks came back and laid a whole bunch of eggs. You know, I even saw an eel in the dam. I don't know how I was swimming through such dense weeds, but really my thoughts on the creek was that even though it's a much smaller area than the lawn and takes a lot more effort to maintain, it is so nice when it actually is tidied up. So I realized keeping the dam nice and clean and healthy is going to get me that serene, tranquil aesthetic that is leveling up my garden. And yes, now I have advanced to taking out this fence line over here. So that was really blocking the look of this inlet here. Well, I want to do something with this rock face in the future. That's when I realized what a cozy little fruit spot we've got going on over here. So nice. Here's the raspberry, it's going crazy. Even you've got a little lime down there, busting out, going hard. But this dam is commonly dry by Christmas and won't start filling again until autumn. So my mission for the summer is that now it's turning into mud, I can start digging it out to see if we can get the water to stick around as long as possible in summer, because I already know how this connects to a broader theme of this episode, that spring is the time for moving all your crazy little attempts to get things happening in the garden, because when the summer heat kicks in, you have to be on top of keeping all your plantings moist and quenched. You must be ready or you're going to lose plantings if you can't beat the heat and the soil turns into a dusty old brick. The longer that I can keep the water in this dam, the longer I can keep these plants alongside watered, which leads into what my massive planting strategy has been, because I was hugely active planting at the start of the year and I still lost almost a third of that in early frosts, because this is actually the first time I've managed to be on top of my plantings for spring. It's through the beginning of spring that you're getting tons of rain while the weather gets warmer. This calls on my opportunistic strategy that spring is so surely and clearly the time of year for your big plant out push. My grow lights were a failure over winter because the plants were not on the vibe like they are in spring. I couldn't fight nature. And what opened the door once again to the strategy of expanding the opportunism with which I've poured into spreading raspberries all over this place, well, I began to find little baby nectarine seedlings sprouting in all the damp cardboard that I'd piled under my main nectarine tree here, and that gave me a boost of a dozen new nectarine trees I've got going. But hammering that opportunism exploded, because now I saw that nectarines now sit next to our raspberries here as the to the moon proposition. I can fill my property with raspberries and nectarines to whatever extent I desire, but there are already plum trees here that exist from the time before the edict of expulsion was applied to the goat population. And these plum trees are here because my dad stuck a whole bunch of branches into buckets of soil and left it for months, and it grew. That's why that's there. when I thought about this and how I would approach it, this was the moment that FARMLETQUEST became OrchardQuest, and that I had not yet become so audacious as to claim myself an orchardist. But that's what leveling up in this game is all about. Enhancing the skills and status of your character with development and mission tree progress coming to fruition. And so I had promised myself I was only going to move one last little truckload of gravel and do the paths over again one more time and then relax into summer. But I went berserk, breaking off twigs off nearly all my trees and jabbing them into the ground and sticking little jars on them. Look, 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 check it out. It's alive, it's growing, it worked. So even if I get a 5% success rate, it will be huge. At the moment, it looks like about 20% are maybe left fighting for life. Only summer will tell if they survive. But the key point is that it was early spring. And as the weather got warmer and it rained, I discovered that sometimes you can break a branch off anything, stick it in the ground and it will grow. And I believe this is going to at least pick me up a few more apple trees and plenty of shrubs and flowers. And this begins leading into a hard breakdown of which fruits you're going to choose to move into and why. Every fruit has a different profile and different stats, so you've got to choose your fighter. Apples, for example, well, they're good for making a whole ton of juice, but this is how the strategies of opportunism must be analysed. How does it scale into the next opportunity? I am going to be limited by how many raspberries and nectarines I can pick and sell, but I persevere with strawberries even though they're clearly much more work. Strawberries have blemishes of some sort and can't be sold, so part of my strawberry strategy is making ice cream and yogurt. When I've got tons of raspberries and nectarines to get rid of, having strawberries available attracts customers to come and open their wallets for some strawberries, and I will see if we can't get rid of a heap of raspberries and nectarines in the process of that. So when I actually sit down to analyze which plants and which fruit I actually want growing here, you start to gather a profile that makes a strong suggestion about what I should be focused on. Because the thing with grapes is that they are almost desirable as strawberries, but the amount of effort and work put into strawberries and grapes is entirely redistributed. Most of the work in the grapes is getting your vines here established. But if you look at my strawberries over here, they need constant maintenance and watering just to maintain the production line of the berries. So my final big push for spring is to get another monster grapevine going with cuttings, and you can see a classic FARMLETQUEST battle formation in action once again as the plastic containers and cardboard back up the plantings along here. And in the shady parts I've actually got once again the raspberries moving in here to claim territory along the fence line and hold the line aggressively against the weed attack coming back here. Your blueberries are also a highly desirable product, but I've already failed to propagate blueberries, but I can see that you've got to play for the top prizes. Grapes represent long scaling potential, but also the oranges have certain qualities. They sit on the tree getting sweeter over winter when you otherwise have nothing else to sell, and also have the ability to be processed into a higher quality product. Real orange juice, which you can add to an apple base if you've also got tons of apples to get rid of. Having product available all year is why I continue to spread fancy lettuces everywhere, because you have reserves of products you can call on. Lettuce has the advantage that it does not fruit it is immediately fit to consume. But strawberries also have another key strength. You can leave them over winter. It's going to be years before my avocados bear fruit, so we've got to get the roses, which have the most valuable harvest, however hardest to find someone to actually buy them. This is because most roses in flower shops are delivered from the airport in a massive international logistical exercise. So I am going to have to test the market to see if people want to buy bouquets, because once again, just as strawberries are to my raspberries and oranges are to my apples, I already have masses of lilies. But look at the bigger strategic equation and you can see I am using strawberry ice cream, orange juice and roses, which are far more desirable and sought after, to help me move the raspberries, the apple juice and the lilies that soon I will have an absolute abundance of to offload. So before I finish up, I just want to tie it together with the pathway here up the back, where you see all the action. The gravel is being laid down, trees that were planted in various states of recovery after winter, cheap shrubs, and now certain flowers that we've discovered here, like geraniums, that simply seem to start growing from pushing a stalk in the ground. And at the very end of the path you will see the final payloads of raspberries that I pumped under my lights. Yeah. Oh yeah, big. To get them ready for total invasion here of these far-flung locations about the property. So I can really get just some massive raspberry bushes going everywhere. So that's it for your spring update on the Farmlet Quest. I am so busy in the garden and now have become obsessed with going full orchard core doctrine, full orchard based, that I haven't really been that desperate to get more vassals coming along to settle the lands, when I am really just focused on how the value I'm building is productive potential of the fruit. The projects I'm committed to are long-term productivity and some efforts to complete the constructions that have been waylaid, but this comes from some confidence that I've slammed this garden with new powerful advances in fruit, in shrubs, in flower borders, and this has got me locked into the value I need to offer those in exchange for their duties as vassals and paying their tribute. There's more and more to gain and more to offer. I'm working hard and feeling the benefit of having pushed past the initial stages where it's so difficult to get established, where we are rushing steadily into the beefy meat of the mid-game action here on the Farmlet Quest.